All right, everybody, welcome on back and good afternoon to all. Continuing along our Monday, things have been kind of slow within the market, but we've had fun on this IDEX, at least across the day. I hope everybody's doing great here this post-Father's Day afternoon meeting here. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin, make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. And otherwise, we'll begin with this IDEX trading 322 million shares total today. Great to see everybody, though. Phil, Pat, Gene, Mark, Kathleen, great to see you. You had a great trade earlier, Kathleen. Wayne, Daniel, Sharon, Bonnie, Greg, Kevin, great to see you all. And like I said, everybody's streaming across social media as well, Facebook and YouTube alike. So let's hop into it, guys. IDEX ended up making a huge run-up earlier today. And, well, actually, rather, pardon me. I guess we'll talk about the Dow. We have it up here, like we had said from Friday's afternoon meeting, a nice little correlation tracker here, at least on the chart. So the Dow ended up making a little bit of a pullback upon the market opening up, but up and away it's been pretty much, it's been pretty slow. Just across the last hour and a half, 2 hours, just you could see the Dow at least trading in a much tighter range, generally holding underneath, 26,000 lower highs, building on the chart here. So at least for right now, we'll kind of sit on our hands with some of the side list stocks. Not much action yet across the board going into the afternoon. The IDEX, though, getting back to this was our star, the morning star of the afternoon thus far. So really, I mean, we've been following this from last week and the week prior, even just on and off, more off than on, but ended up making a bit of a pullback, kind of like the Dow did. You could see there a bit. IDEX doesn't follow the Dow as much, really, but ended up making a similar move where pulled back, then shot right through the highs, ended up trending right through resistance at the time at 3. At the time, you can't see it on the charts here, guys, but we ended up seeing like a 450,000 share order on the ask sitting right at $3. I ended up taking a 2-cent loss on the way up off the breakout from 3 the first time, ended up jumping back in once it ended up re-breaking above that 3 level. So once it broke above 3, like I said before, up and away, but ended up making a huge squeeze essentially from the breakout that we called off 3 up towards next whole number, essentially 398, $4 resistance up ahead. We saw this crazy shake. I don't know what this was about. Ended up seeing just big sell-off, at least. I don't think any news came out otherwise. I thought given the drop-off, it would have been halted off of news. But of course, as you could see, it squeezed back up pretty quickly. And ever since trending back down to 3, we called this off of support off of 3 just a moment ago. I mean, pretty simple to say, guys, but strong resistance ended up becoming a strong support. The IDEX ended up making a strong bounce off of 3, squeezing back up towards the VWAP right now, roughly around 340. For right now, guys, I mean, I'm not going to put this on our list. You would like to think, given the activity up and down, and even off of 3. I mean, if you're in off of 3, you're doing pretty good at this point still. If you're still holding on. But for a stock trading 323 million shares at this point in the day, I mean, I know that Friday's volume was decent, and from last week entirely, the stock was trading a lot of volume. I still think at this point the stock has mostly exhausted itself out. So, I wouldn't expect a whole lot from this trade going into the close. Ended up just dropping my notepad. I wouldn't expect a whole lot from this trade going into the close. I'll put this on our side list for right now, guys. I mean, maybe we'll come back to this. All right. From one of us here in the chat board, can you post the watch list? Yes. Once we're done with this audio broadcast, that leads me to think that you're not tuning into the audio. But once we're done with this meeting, guys, we'll look to post and tweet the afternoon list. That goes across the board for social media as well as the trading room here for you guys. Yeah, we'll come back to IDEX at least for right now. Now, I will say, aside from the IDEX, a lot of the stocks from the morning list ended up pulling back, much like IDEX, but they only continued to pull back further after the market opened up. SINT, S-I-N-T. I guess this ended up making a small little bounce. I wasn't there for that. Ended up holding resistance perfectly off of 3, ended up dumping right back down. EVOK. It's funny. I used to follow this a few years back, this stock, out of all stocks in the world, right? I remember there was and it's related because they got FDA approval for the same drug. This this drug Gamoti, I believe it's called Gamoti. I forgot what it was for in particular, but at the time I did, obviously, and I was swing trading it. Stock went nowhere at the time. It took, I guess, like 3 years for this to get approved. We ended up seeing a huge jump up in the after hours. Yes, on Friday. It was halted, reopened up, ended up making this crazy squeeze up, back down, and then, of course, it was on the percent gainers list going into the market open. But for a stock like EVOK that was up, 125, 150% leading into 9:30, we're expecting a pullback. So, we ended up seeing the pop at first, but then right afterwards, it pulled right back down. And unfortunately, it kind of was a big dud. Perhaps it will continue to trade lower going into the close. Don't throw this in the trash across the whole week. I feel like, the stock will eventually make its bounce back up at some point. I'm not going to bank on when exactly, maybe tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, but, at least given the move up, given the news, we'll still keep this in mind. I don't think for this afternoon at least, but just keep it on a notepad at least for right now. All right. Again, a couple shouts here on YouTube for Sono, SONO, and also from Dom here in our chat board in the trading room here. Yeah, things pushing up beautifully still at this point, guys. Great call out at the time because, of course, like I just said, double top at a major resistance, 1450. It's a fantastic setup to consider off an entry. So, great call from Dom in the Cyber Group room and Peter here on YouTube. And yeah, needless to be said, Sono, we're going to put on our list going into the close, guys. I do have the time here just to quickly go through. I'll jump on Benzinga Pro and copy and paste the news from earlier today on Sono. So Sono tweet came out. Sono is dominating home audio in the new stay-at-home economy. Blah blah blah. So I guess, yeah. Oh, possible Apple acquisition. I think that's the news that came out. I'll post that on YouTube, social media here as well. All right, so needless to be said, Sono will put on our list going into the afternoon, guys. Right off a major resistance, you'd like to think, trade higher going into the close. 15 next whole number will be your next bigger volume-based resistance on the offer. So just keep that in mind. All right, cool. So I'll tell you what, guys, what we'll do is go from top to bottom across the gainers and losers list. If there's anything else that ended up making a big jump up, we'll look to, or perhaps a big drop off, we'll look to recap it fairly quick. NEO is one that's being shouted at in the trading room right here. So we'll get to that in a moment. Kind of a slower moving stock here. So we'll start from the top. Cint, we kind of already went over that one. SMTS, nice recent pop here. I have no idea what happened on this one. Let's take a quick look once again on Benzinga Pro. So just give me a quick second here, guys. What is that? SMTS. Sierra Metals confirms new high-grade silver zone in its Cusi mine, Mexico, including 17 meters, blah, 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 blah. All right, so I guess metal mining stock. Fausto was talking about that earlier in the trading room, at least. Oh, I'll post that on social. There we go. All right, cool. So I like the recent activity, the recent run up. So it's hard for me to not just put this on our list for right now. SMTS. Take a look on the daily chart. I guess this ended up making a big move back on Friday. I don't remember trading this at the time. Looks like this thing's been holding underneath 3 for quite some time here, guys, across the last year and a half. Historical resistance off of 3. I mean, it has a ways to go just to get up there. I'm not going to say it's going to top off at 3 per se, but nice little continued move up, though. A bunch of fills right off 235 on the time and sales. You could see that. All right, cool. So we'll keep pushing on this SMTS trade. Evoke, we went over. IDEX, we'll get back to. I just feel like the stock isn't going to do as much heading into the close. NVTA, it looks like it's in a somewhat tight range, but given the move up earlier this morning, it's still trading some good volume, 82,000 shares per minute right now. In fact, you guys can kind of see on the bottom of the chart, the Dow is squeezing back up towards 26,000. So we'll check back in on the Dow, the side list stocks once we're done. But yeah, for right now, NVTA, I mean, I like the range across the day. I like the volume. I'll come back to this, I guess. I'm not going to force this on the list for right now. This FPRX, recent breakout, recent volume coming in. It also is shortable if it craps out completely the other way. So this FPRX, to quickly put this one on our list, I like this one a little bit more. Just given, hey, if it's not breaking higher, if it pulls back, holds lower highs, pardon me, continues to break lower going into the afternoon, then decent short opportunity. That's what a couple of us were actually looking on Sono earlier for. I saw Jose and I saw Lee, I think. You guys ended up shorting Sono once it made the small little break right over here. I mean, in and out quick, mind you, and it squeezed back up. So great trade. Hopefully, if anything, the FPRX makes a more concise, direction going into the last hour here. All right, skip a few here. Fran ended up making a nice jump earlier, died off. This is what I'm hoping that the IDEX doesn't do. Skipped over Kirk. I just got that ping on Kirk too a moment ago. 237 new high. Yeah, this thing's pushing up pretty nicely as well here. All right, cool. Building up a decent list so far, guys. Tight spread. It's opening up a little bit. I was going to say it was a penny spread a moment ago. Liquid order book, definitely. You could see here 11,000 share order on the ask, 7,000 shares support at 261, 11,000 here at 269. Opening up for a second, but it's up and down here a bit. This Kirkland's trade is looking pretty strong going into the close. All right, we'll keep it pushing, guys. WKHS workhorse, we've been following this, I mean, really just across the last 2 weeks straight. So at this point right now, it's still kind of filling in sideways. Higher lows, lower highs, almost like a pennant, a wedge, pattern, so to say. Holding underneath resistance, not just at 6, but actually at 605. 605, we ended up seeing a larger order on the ask earlier there. It was a pop and drop earlier off the break. So that really is your resistance going into the afternoon here. Just popped off 6, pop and drop, I should say. But for right now, 605, I think, is the stronger level here. We'll come back to workhorse. I feel like for as much as this ran up, when's the pullback? When are we going to see the drop off here? So, I feel like at this point, it might not look to make that continued move up. All right. What else we got here? 21%. Sono already on our list here. Held the 1450. Looked like it was building a bit of a Fausto flag, maybe some refreshing on the offer at the time. So, be on the lookout, guys. Next breakout over 1450 might run. All right, LPCN looks like a slow move up here for right now. I like the gap fill. This thing has a gap on the daily chart. Dropped off going back into mid-October or mid-November rather, from 250 all the way down to sub-dollar here. So, pushing up nicely. Slow and steady wins the race. This might be on the bottom of our list, but it will make the cut for right now. All right, guys, great. What we'll do is hop over to the losers list. Maybe we'll go through space here. SPCE, familiar name. It is pushing up nicely here still at this point, guys. I mean, it's not as close to the highs, but it's bouncing pretty nicely off of, what is that, 1675 there. So just about a 15-20 cent move so far. Not bad. So space, it's kind of squeezing in sideways. Hopefully it continues to push up, breaking up towards that 1750 resistance going into the afternoon, but I'll add this to our list here as well. Space. We saw the news earlier on space. One of our students, Michael D, posted it earlier in the chat board, so I'll repost that and then I'll post in the stream. So Michael posted earlier, guys, Virgin Galactic signed a deal with NASA to develop a recruitment and training program for private astronauts seeking to visit the International Space Station. That's pretty cool. All right, so add space to the list, at least for right now. Hopefully, we'll fill up higher going into the afternoon. And then what we'll do, guys, is hop over to the losers list. If there's anything looking good on this side of the field, we'll just run through it pretty quick. Bunch of crap hard to borrow as always near the top. U1 sinking ship here, still pulling back for right now. I most recently called out U1K for a potential breakout off of 3. And I'll tell you what, guys, really quick. Dow pushing back up to 26,000. That symbol correlation, you could see what happened. We were calling this out off resistance at 3 for a potential run, but if U1's not going to make that move, then U1K is not going to make that move. So you could see where one ended up holding resistance, pulling back, the other did the exact same thing. So certainly at this point, I would expect both to continue to break lower. I was hoping for a nice little hold and run back up, but we're not going to get that now. All right, bunch of crap that's hard to borrow, bunch of crap that's also like really light volume. 199,000 share OPHC, not really going anywhere as well. Michael says all of the gainers from last week are on the losers list today. Hey, we've seen that song and dance before, guys. I mean, that's pretty much week to week here in the Cyber Group room. These aren't really, buy and holds as much. So for anyone that jumped in on U1 when it was around $10, squeezed all the way up to 40, 50, hey, by all measures, congratulations. Like, that's not any sarcasm, really. I hope it wasn't, that's not the tone, but what goes up does come back down, right? So, at the least, we're day trading these. We're making money on the way up, and if they're shortable, we're going to make money on the way down. But for a lot of these that are small cap, low float, we see them dump back down really quickly. And, while we're at it, the same to be said, number 6 here, Carve, same thing, guys. U1 and Carve are, moving together for a similar reason. Carve made the same exact dump off. All right, LK on the losers list right now. We're looking at this a bit earlier, hopefully for a squeeze off of support. Ended up making a bit of a move off 310 the low and beginning to, I guess, move back up for right now, but not worth it. I'll tell you what, guys. I mean, we talk about this in phase 1 stock class as far as, just best and worst times of the day to trade. Mondays and Fridays, not as much news comes out for, specific companies, not really as many earnings being reported before the open, after the bell on Mondays and Fridays. Of course, if there's any traction or news across the world, across the US here, the markets will move. So hopefully we'll have an active afternoon, but I was sitting on my hands earlier today, guys. I mean, I was trading a couple of these, but I was being selective. I'll continue to do the same going into the afternoon. All right. I think that's pretty much it, guys, at least as far as the loser side. If there's anything else, let me know. Up, down, left, right, 5, 10, 15%. Got one right here from YouTube. Can you see if ZI is making a new high? I saw that called out earlier in our trading room. So ZI, a little bit pricier, but moving up pretty steadily, at least across the day. I'm not going to put this like on our main list going into the afternoon, just given the wacky spread, the thin order book here. It looks like a new IPO. Zoom info, interesting. Okay. So maybe this will squeeze up a Zoom, ZM. I don't know if they're related, not. But ZI, I mean, hey, it was holding resistance off of 50. So just looking at the chart, if this could re-break through 50, I'd like to think there's a very good chance he'll get a higher high going into the afternoon. All right, from Doug on YouTube as well, TLRY. Nice pop here, Doug, and I love Tilray. Tilray's on my side list, so to say. It's usually just a stock that I'll tend to, focus on in pre-market if there's any news or volume activity. I didn't really trade Tilray recently over the last week, but I like the volume pop. I don't really see much from Benzinga yet as far as news on Tilray or maybe on pot entirely. CGC is not nearly getting that type of volume being pumped into it. Looks like it's starting to. Kronos, another pot stock, much slower. Hexo not doing anything. APHA not doing anything. All right, so for right now, I mean, hey, Tilray, I'm a sucker for it. So Tilray will add to our list. I don't know what the news is really, but just given the volume, that's what I'm focused on here. So that's a really, really good call. Oh, and Terrence as well from our trading room called that out too. So Terrence and Doug, I appreciate that. All right, back to the trading room here. We have Jerry saying FCX is a mining stock. Yeah, Freeport McRoran, right? Yeah, squeezing up a little bit here. Nice level 1 tradable stock. Mark R ended up picking up 13 cents on VNet in our trading room here. Got in at 21.08. So ended up seeing this run over 21. Probably got in off the next little shake up here off 21.08 and just closed out a small little gain. Nice trade, Mark. All right, and then from Pat earlier, which I don't know if I'm too late to the draw on here at this point, Pat, but CBay is making a pop right now. We followed CBay. I don't know if it was off of earnings. Yeah, this big gap we ended up seeing. At the time, it was shortable, so it was actually a really good trade on the way down. But I guess for right now, squeezing back up, kind of making a Fausto flag going into the afternoon on the 1 minute chart. Yeah, I like this one. CBay. All right, cool. All right, guys, I'll tell you, I think we have a pretty good list. AMAG, small little pop. Getting a ping on Benzinga Pro, new low of the day on DraftKings here. Oh, man, if DraftKings was shortable. Oh, it is. Wait a second. Oh, that's so weird. It said hard to borrow earlier from TradeStation. So you know what? I mean, either way, if you have TradeStation or not, I'll add DraftKings to our list. So for anyone else, aside from TradeStation, just double check to see if you can get the shares to short. But at least right now, I'm taking a look. DraftKings, it doesn't say HB next to the ticker next to the symbol. HB meaning hard to borrow. So the fact that it doesn't show that, it means that it's, well, of course, easy to borrow. So pretty interesting. Sono broke over that 50-cent level, says Pat. Yeah, there we go. Finally popped over 50, held it nicely, at least the first time off the shakedown. So we'll need to see it make a higher high pretty soon here, Pat. Like it was pulling back down there. And from Michael, Box kind of rolling over. Yeah, Box had a sneaky good day today. Ended up seeing a pop going into the early afternoon and a second, run up at least. It is shortable. So if it ends up pulling back down, it would be a decent opportunity here, especially if it could break lower. You know what? Yeah, I'm talking myself into adding Box. All right, so we'll take a look at the side list stocks as well, just heading into the end of the meeting here. But so far we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 on our list. Not too bad. I always beat myself up and say that I normally put like 15, 20 stocks on our list the last week or so. I think I've been pretty good. WKHS, I'm not going to add this at this point. Just seems like it's pulling back a bit lower. NVTA, not really. I mean, it is, shortable, so it is pulling back pretty nicely. I guess for the same reason, if I'm throwing Box on our list, I'll throw NVTA on our list too. I don't know if they're tied together or not. I'm just kind of ignorant to that. But, both are just shortable. Both have made a nice move up earlier, across the day today. The NVTA is a little bit sharper on the way down. So, both present good opportunities to go long or short. All right, Jose picked up 4 cents. He chased the Sono trade, but got out with 4 cents profit. Nice exit there, Jose. Let's take a look on YouTube. Anything else, guys? I think that we're pretty much good. All right, much like Fausto says, guys, if you see something, say something. Aside from that, I'll say this. Let's try and close out this Monday afternoon just as well as we had opened it up. For anybody tuning in across social media here, Facebook and YouTube alike. Ooh, someone pulled my banner. There we go. For anybody streaming on social media, Facebook, YouTube alike, if you guys would like more information about CTU, Cyber Trading University, feel more than free to just give a phone call down to the phone number below. And at that point, one of our education advisors will pick up, just provide more detail. All right. And aside from that, again, across the board, I'll post and tweet the picks, and we'll try and make some money together in our trading room going into the end of this Monday. Take care.